Okay, so this will be another Anvil repair video. This is a 169 pound or 77 kg Eveson Stourbridge. Marking is a little bit hard to see now, but once I've dipped it, it'll be easier to see. Anyway, as you can see, the heel is completely gone. So I'm going to use what I have. I live in a small town that's about 3 hours away from anything that might even have a piece of steel that big. So I've taken multiple smaller pieces, which is the biggest steel I can get from my steel supplier, and I'm going to forge weld everything together. As you can see, I've got a 1-inch hardy hole, and I've cleaned all these surfaces so that I can forge weld everything together. So basically the idea is I'll get everything lined up, tack it with a MIG, and then put the whole thing in the forge, and then lightly hammer it to get it to fuse. Yeah. So that is the plan. I'll film a little bit of the forge work, and then basically once we've got our chunk, we're gonna just yeah, as you can see, that's a big bevel that I've got in there. So we'll start welding it from the center, get complete penetration right through, and then just build until it's completely finished. Other than that, really nice little anvil. I think it'll be nice when it's done. So I'm hoping that this explains it a bit better. Okay, I bought this anvil and the whole heel is gone. So I'm busy forging together those blocks to make up a heel. You know, obviously that's the bevel, and then I'll ground all this flat and then weld the whole thing on once this is all one piece. But in order to do that, when I shape this piece here, I don't want to have to try and clean up afterwards inside without the correct equipment. So I made this up so that it slides in there, and then I can weld and do whatever I want and then just hit it out because the weld won't stick. So that is the idea. So after I forge welded this together, I just cleaned everything up. I ground in here until I could not see the seam line anymore, and then I'll just fill that up with MIG, and I did that all the way around. So I just welded up all the gaps, and I'll ground those down now. And then prepare the surface, and then tack the other piece on, and then we can forge weld the last two pieces together. Okay, so there we go, all ground down. That side is the side where I'll be joining the other piece to. This side is all suede, but it's okay because that'll be the bottom and I have to build it up with welding. Not going to worry about cleaning up those welds because I have to weld there anyway after we've forged these two pieces together. Okay, so that's the idea. I forge welded this together previously, so yeah, that's all solid, and there you have it. Hardy holes, relatively square. This is obviously upside down. This is the bottom end of the heel. That'll be the end of the heel, and then it'll build up like this towards the anvil, and then the anvil this heel will get welded onto the anvil where there's this bevel over here. So basically the anvil will touch here, and then all of this is going to get filled up with welding. So I'm basically just building up this heel now. This obviously is the bevel where it'll weld onto the anvil. And then the bevel I'm also busy building up. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are going to hear me here, but if you can't, I'll just voice this over. So I've got this heel tacked on. As you can see, I need to build it over there. I need to build this whole side over here. Fairly level. This whole face will get hard faced. And yeah, I'm basically ready to do my welding on this. As you can see, it's got a bit of surface rust, so I'll wire brush all that off so that I'm working with nice clean steel when I start to do my welding. So as you can hear, these guys are pretty hard at work today. I'm going to try and record here. But I just cleaned this up just to get rid of all that surface rust where I'm going to be welding. I have to weld all of this. So basically, I'm going to be preheating this whole thing now. And I'm going to try and do all my welding all while I've got preheat. So obviously, I mean, that'll all be filled. That'll be quick because I'll use the MIG for that. And then I'll fill that up with MIG. And then basically hard face this whole face. This over here, I'm not going to hard face this. I will build this up with MIG though. And then you can see over here, this area here is nice. It's got a nice radius to it, if you can see. But it's got a bit of a dent here, so I want to fill that up just so I can get it as nice as possible. But I won't be hard facing this. Yeah, I'd like the cutting table to stay soft so that if someone wants to use it for its purpose, they don't go and blunten their chisels. So yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll drill the brittle hole after everything is done. Yeah, I'll just put it on the drill press. I'll try at least put it on the drill press and then see how it goes. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so just to fill everyone in, I am going to be using arc just for right in that bevel, because the nozzle of my MIG doesn't go far down enough, so that weld wouldn't be any good. So I'm just going to build it maybe 2 passes with an arc just until I can get my MIG nozzle in there. But yeah, this is all now at 200. That's about 240 degrees, and that is just at 200. So yeah, this is good to go, so I'm going to start. just so you guys can see what's going on here. Now keep on alternating so that it doesn't pull either way. That's the plan at least. Yep, I'll have a look now and see how it's going, but I think it's working. That's what it's looking like currently. Not going too bad. I am losing a little bit of preheat, so I'm going to re-preheat just to get it back up to 200 to 230. And then I'll carry on. Just show you guys a little squiz. That's how it's going. Same on the other side, obviously. So, yeah, getting there. Getting there. So this is where we are. Now I filled up this dent here. Obviously redid the face on the cutting table, did the edges. I need to fill from here to here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys where I'm at. I've built this piece up to level with the anvil, and I've built this piece up to level with the anvil, just so I know where I'm at, and then I know exactly how much I need to fill to get away from obviously excessive grinding. I've already done the other side. I'm not going to film all of this for you guys, it's hella boring, and then I have to fill all of that up. I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, so I've taken it down here where I'm going to be putting my hard facing on. It's pretty flat. So now I'm going to do one pass of hard face rods on here, and that'll be my face. There it is. And then afterwards I have to weld all of this over here. That's hot. But yeah, I filled in over here. I told you guys I'm not going to show you that. That was very boring. And then the same over here on the side. So once it's all ground down, yeah, it's starting to look like an anvil. So that's what 1.5 hours worth of hard facing looks like, guys. So obviously that's all mild, that is all hard faced. And I had to rush because in South Africa we have something called load shedding, which is basically scheduled power cuts because our government has stolen so much money from our electricity provider that they cannot maintain their machines. So we sit, there you go, we sit with about 6 hours a day with no electricity. So I'm glad that I finished that on time. I have to obviously still fill this, all of that there, but I mean that's not much and that's just MIG, so it's fine. But yeah, sure, glad that I finished in time. I didn't think I would. Gaps are pretty good. I'm gonna put this in sand now so it can slow cool. Okay, so we've got it in the sand. I'll bury it and then I'll pull it out tomorrow morning. And that's it until tomorrow morning. So there we have it. That is where I have to do my building. So I just put a layer so I can build on top of it. You can see on the wrought iron, I had a lot of like silica stuff coming out that I was chipping off with a hammer. But yeah, I'm not going to film me filling this because this will be boring. I will show you guys when it's done. Okay guys, this is 2 days later. This anvil sat in sand for close on 20 hours just to slow cool once I'd done all this welding over here. So I know I said I wanted to do all the welding in one heat. I would have probably been able to do it if we didn't have a power cut, but I had to preheat again and do all this welding. But yeah, it's there. It's really ugly at the moment, but you can see, I mean, it's got a heel on it, which is a hell of a lot more than it had when I got it. So after this, I will start grinding. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll start grinding over there, just get it flat with the body of the anvil, so that I can get a straight edge along here, so I don't go too much or too little over there. And then basically once I've done all of that, I will then put a square on here. You can see the heel is a bit, from forging it, it went a bit skew. So I'll mark that and then grind that square and then move on to the face and then the cutting table and heel last. But yeah, there it is. Just tip it up. I did get quite tired of building all this. This took a lot of building, and yeah, so the welds are not very pretty. And like over there, I was obviously building a lot more than I need to because it has to be flush here. So yeah, once I've ground all this, I've got a lot more material than I need. If you can have a look, if you go from this tooling hole through to the hardy hole, I mean, it needs to be all basically the same. So got a lot more material than I need, and a lot will come off, but heel is on and it's not going anywhere. Now we just need to make it look the part. Okay, so I've got myself set up here on the floor, sit on this nice old bucket, and I'm gonna try and use the big grinder and just use the weight of it resting on the anvil to try and take down some meat. But yeah. No power. Okay, so the other side is done. I'm going to move to this side. This side shouldn't be as bad as the other side was. So I just want to show you guys something over here that I do just to speed up your grinding process. So I ground down here so that it's flush with the anvil relatively. Then I put a straight edge on and I mark how much material, sorry, let me just go on the floor here, needs to come off. So you can see here, so my line over here is basically the outermost part of my Koki line. So you can see I've sort of just put these scores in here to get me a level, and I've got them approximately the same depth all the way through. We can sort that out later. I can see, you can't see in the camera, but it's a little bit high here. But now after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go opposite that. So I'm going to go across like that. And that just takes down your grinding time from what would probably take an hour and a half to, it'll probably now only take half an hour. Just because using all the weight of the anvil, using all the weight of the grinder to score these lines in, and then opposite, and then there's really not much meat in between left to take off. So that's what I do. It just helps speed everything up, and it also helps me sort of get a gauge on where everything needs to be, because obviously, I mean, as you guys know, if you're watching this video, I mean, you've probably got anvils, or you've worked on an anvil, you want to work on an anvil. I mean, these things, this is a forge anvil, so it's not flat, you know, it's all wonky, and it has character. And I don't want this to be perfectly flat either. I want this character to match that of the anvil. So I'm gonna try the best I can, and yeah. I'll hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Okay, so there we go. See how much meat that takes off. To take this down now will be quick, and I'll have my line, and then I'll re-straight edge this once I've got all this material off, and I'll just have a look if I'm happy with the tolerance of this edge over here, then that's it, done, and that's this side done. But yeah, this really speeds things up. And as you can see here, you know, I had a bit of a low spot here and obviously a high over here. This is where we welded the whole heel on, so I built up quite a lot there. When you're welding, always build more than you need. Don't think to yourself, oh, you know, I'm tired of welding and I don't want to grind too much, so I'm going to just build up as much as I think. Rather build up more material and you just take it down with a grinder, because to preheat the whole anvil, just so that the amount of time you're going to waste doing that, I mean, to just put an extra few beads on, yeah, you guys know what I'm saying. Sorry, it's been a long day. Anyway, it's coming. I'm very happy with the way it came out. The Pritchell hole, like I said, there it is. The Pritchell hole, I'm gonna just drill that once I've got all of this done. I don't quite know how yet, because this is now hard faced, so my drill bit is not gonna like going through. I'm gonna have to start very small and then just go bigger. Anyway, the hardy hole came out really good. I'm happy with that. So there's a couple of things I would have done differently regarding this whole process. I definitely would never forge weld the heel together again. Yeah, I would rather just, I've got a friend of mine who is an anvil collector. Actually, the guy who I bought this anvil from, he owns a scrapyard which is about 600 kilometers away from me. Anyway, I've arranged with him that when I need big pieces of steel like this, he'll send them to me. So next time I will not be forge welding lots of little pieces of steel together to get a heel. I will just buy a big piece of steel. How I will do the hardy hole is I would drill a hole that diameter over there, and then I would take my drift. Let me just see where my drift is. I did make a drift. I'd probably sorry guys, there it is. There's my drift over there. So I would just drill a hole and then put the whole heel in the forge, and then I would just drift it on the big anvil. That's the way I would do it next time. That would be much quicker, much less work, and yeah, and then obviously just heavily bevel it. I would do the bevel exactly the same as I did this time, where I just bevel on the heel. I don't want to bevel the anvil too much, it's pointless. And then just build up. I did all of my building with mild steel, and then I just did straight hard face onto, sorry guys, I'm filming with my phone here. Hard face the face of the anvil. The hard face rod I used, I will take a picture of it and I'll put it in this video. But it's not an expensive hard facing rod. It's not Stourbridge, like I said. I mean, I can't get Stourbridge here. We're in South Africa, so you can get it, but it's very expensive. So yeah, basically I used a pretty cheap hard facing rod. It's super durable. I've used it before. This will be the first video on the Anvil Repair YouTube channel. I've done another video before. I'll put a link in the description. And that was basically just doing edges on a Brooks anvil, and I used the same hard facing rod. I used that anvil for 2 years, and I barely had any chips, so the hard facing rod that I use here really works well. Next time what I'll do is I'll do the same hard facing, but I will use MIG wire. I think I mentioned that before. It'll just go a lot quicker. So yeah, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. Just helps me know that I'm doing something right. The reason why I'm doing these YouTube videos is because I haven't seen anything that goes into this much detail. I try to learn how to do these things, and I couldn't find anything on YouTube on how to do these type of extensive repairs. So I did a lot of research. I joined the Anvil group on Facebook. I asked a lot of questions, and this is what I came up with. Hope you guys enjoy. I'm so pleased with the way this came out. This side worked really, really well. It was a lot easier than the other side, as I suspected it would be. Sorry, there you go. Have a look at that. There are some air gaps, I mean, if you really want to get picky, but I mean, over there, where it comes down to the cutting table, it's a little bit skew, but I mean, for an anvil that didn't have a heel, I would say not doing too bad. I just realized now I gave that long explanation about what I was doing on this anvil and why I was doing it. And you guys were looking at the anvil the whole time. It must have been pretty boring. So I'm sorry about that. I will get better at this. This is I haven't done many of these videos. Not many at all. So I will get better. But please comment and tell me what I can do that would make the video more enjoyable. The first videos had some music in them during the time lapses, and people didn't really like that. They didn't like my music. So anyways, this one won't have any music in it, but if you guys want some music, tell me and then I'll put it in. There won't be many of these videos. It's not going to be a weekly thing or a monthly thing like other YouTube channels. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this as a job. I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm doing this to try and share a bit of knowledge and show that it's not that difficult. So yeah, there won't be, you guys are welcome to subscribe. You don't have to if you don't want to. Like I say, there's not going to be videos coming out very often. I'll do videos when I have anvils that I repair, and then that's just how it'll go. So I do have another 4 anvils coming in. Today is Friday. They're being collected today. They'll be delivered to me on Monday, so in 3 days time. There are 2 Brooks anvils there, which are really lovely anvils to repair. This anvil here is a forged Eveson Stourbridge. So it's a little bit more difficult because it's forged. You know, you have to really watch your heat, and you have to be a bit careful the way that you weld this, because you know these forge welds, I even noticed that's the reason why I had welded elsewhere off of the bevel, is because during when I preheated this and when I was welding, I noticed that there were some seams opening up because this has been forged out of, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. This thing is like 1800s, late 1800s. So obviously, with the weather and where these things sit, how it happens, the forge welds do weaken over time, which is obviously what happened here. This one, the whole heel had broken off. As I was saying, so cast anvils are really, really nice. They're a pleasure to work on. If you guys are wanting to buy a cheap anvil that needs repair, I would definitely look at buying a forged anvil. We over here get Brooks, Kolschwa, I believe some Trentons are cast anvils. This anvil over here of mine, I don't know what brand this anvil is. I've tried to find out. This is a cast anvil. I didn't have to do any weld work on this. Fortunately, the face and the edges are fairly nice. But I mean, this is a cast anvil, so welding it is safe. It's not like you're gonna preheat this and the heel is gonna fall off, or the horn is gonna fall off, or something's gonna crack. Cast anvil is really, really nice to weld. So if you guys are wanting to buy a cheap anvil that needs repair, I would look for a cast anvil until you have done a few repairs and you know what to look for so that you can work on a forged anvil. That's what I've done, and this is my second forged anvil I've done, and I didn't make videos of the other one, but I mean, this is going good. You know, it's not going too bad. It's going as planned. Cool. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying. Like I said, not really good at this, but hey, leave comments, tell me what I can do better, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, so there we go. The horn is basically in shape. The cutting table is basically in shape. A little bit hot. Yeah, so there's cleaned up good. I ground these little edges over here, got them into shape. Not bad considering how it was. Okay, and then I thought I'd show you guys both sides. There we go. That's all ground down. It's straight with intolerance. And then this side here is the same. So it's coming. I've been grinding now for 2 hours. 2 hours. So this has taken me 2 hours to do. And I had a little lunch break in between. So yeah, if you get stuck into it, it can be done fairly efficiently. So now that we've got straight edges here and on that side, I've measured it across from there to there, from there to there, from there to there. It's all the same measurement, which is 10.8 millimeters. I'm so sorry, I don't know what that is in inches, but it's the same width right the way through, which is great. That tells me that this theory all worked out. So now I'm going to be grinding this square. Like you can see over here, I've done the same thing. I'm going to grind to the outside of my line, so it's not too much, but it'll be nice to get that nice and square. Then after that, I'm going to start shaping underneath the heel. The reason being is I obviously have to put the anvil on its face, and the face I want to do last. I want to basically grind that flat. I've got a cup grinder which I'll use to get everything perfectly flat, and then I want to polish it, and then it must be done. I don't want to have to move the face around on the concrete. Just personal preference. So yeah, I'm going to do that after I've done this, which will probably be on Monday morning, because it's almost 3 o'clock and I'm tired. I want to go home. So I'm going to do that and then maybe start this, and I'll continue with this next week. Okay, there we go. That's done. Doesn't look too bad. There we go. So that's that part done. Really starting to look like an anvil now, eh? So we've got the same scoring method over here, just to get it all on the same plane, and then I'll just take all that down now and then be done with it. And that's it, all ground down. Profile on that side looks good. So now I'm gonna start just brushing over with a big grinding disc over here, you know, this way, that way, this way, that way, just until I get it flat. Okay, so I'm gonna start grinding this top, the face now with cup grinder. As you can see, all that is done. That is done. I want to quickly just run a flapper disc over all of this, just to smooth it out. I want to run a flapper disc over here. It's done underneath the heel. It came out really nice profile. I just want to flapper disc all of that stuff, so that basically when I'm happy with the face, I'll flapper disc that, and then it's going to go into the dip, and I'll electrolysis dip it. I'll film that for you guys, and then it's done. So we're close now. We're very close. This is what I'm going to be using. There's a flapper disc. It is a little bit old, but I don't need that. I need it to just smooth down all of the deep gouges. There's the old grinding disc. Guys, I only used, this wasn't new when I started this anvil, and that's how much I still have left. So, and that has done the whole job. That's done all my grinding work. So as you can see, one big grinding disc on a big grinder will probably last you plenty. And then I did use a small grinding disc, but I didn't even use one. So yeah, materials over there are not much at all. There's the cup grinder. I did have to buy this. I did not have this in stock, well, in the workshop. So that is basically the only thing that I had to buy, that and the square stock that I used to forge the heel together. Everything else for this anvil I already had. And I don't know if you could have guessed, but we've got another scheduled power cut. So generator's outside, and when I do video that is not in time lapse, you'll have to try and hear over the generator. Fun times. So we are getting there. As you can see, just very little bits that need to come down. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Like over there, there's a fraction of a millimeter that needs to come down. So I'm just going to carry on working it with the cup grinder. It's working wonders. I really like it. Yeah, but I mean, we're almost done here, and then as soon as that's all done, I'll quickly just flapper disc it, and then that's it. And that's what it looks like after we finish with a cup grinder. You can see there's a very slight dent, and a little bit there, but I don't want to take it down too much further. Takes a long time with a cup grinder because obviously it's removing all the surface area. There's another little thing there. But I mean, over there you can just quickly even it out with a flapper disc, you know. Much better than it was factory, that's for sure. You see at the end of the heel it dips down a bit. I mean, that is pretty damn flat. Okay, so over here, this is a trick I learned last time. You just go over with a belt sander and you just work it over a little bit with a belt sander, exactly the same as we did with the cup grinder. Just keep on moving it around, and that'll obviously tell you exactly where any low spots are. So I'm going to do that quickly. I don't think we'll be as bad as last time. On the other video that I made of me doing the edges on that Brooks anvil, I didn't have a cup grinder and I couldn't get one. So that's why I got this one now, for this exact reason. So I'll show you guys, and then yeah, I think we're almost done though. done. Just got to drill the petrol hole. You can see I belt sanded this a little bit. The belt sander doesn't take off meat, but it does just obviously polish the surface. But I didn't touch this with a flapper disc. That was from the cup grinder, and then I just worked over it like this with the belt sander, as you guys saw. So there you go, there you have it. I mean, there's a little bit of tiny little obviously just from welding with a hard face, but I mean, you can't even barely feel it with your fingernail. So I'm not gonna worry. And then there's a slight low spot here, but I'm not gonna worry about that. As far as I'm concerned, that's character. And then obviously I just die ground it around here, around the body hole, just rounding up those edges. There we go, guys. Drill the petrol hole and done, into the dip. Oh, and I also just rounded up all these corners over here, just so that nothing is sharp. Hard. There's the ring. So I just want to explain to you guys what I'm doing here, or what we're doing. We started with the die grinder because we couldn't cut through the hard facing. So we've just kept on going a little bit with the drill bit and then die grinding it around just to get through the top layer of hard facing. Okay guys, so I didn't get, I did record this, but yeah, the recording was all messed up. So basically what I did is I die ground, whatever, just through the hard facing, and then I drilled a 9mm pilot hole, and then I die ground around, and then went through with the next size drill bit, die ground, went through the next size drill bit. So I just kept on die grinding through the hard facing, and then I ended over here on a 14mm. I just measured all my other anvils. That's a 1-inch hardy hole, and then it looked like it was 1 inch divided by what, 1.7 or something. Just judging by the other anvils, I measured their hardy hole, measured this hole, did the calculation, and saw what the sort of ratio is. So that's how come I drilled it 14. That's the reason why. So I don't know what that is in inches. I'm so sorry guys, but yeah, there it is. The reason why it's in the car, we just took it to have it weighed. So I will put a picture of the weight in after this video. But as you can see, I mean, it's nice, you know, everything's cool. It does have a few imperfections, you know, it's not 100% perfect, but I mean, it is an anvil from early to mid 1800s, so quite good compared. But I mean, yeah, the next owner can always just flap a disc that down if he or she wants to. But yeah, I'm not gonna take it down anymore. I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, there's really nothing there, you know, so they can just flap a disc. I just want it to be perfectly flat, you know, so if they want to flap a disc they can. But this is now going to go into the dip, so I'll record that and then I'll explain to you guys how I dip these things. And yeah, it'll probably go into the dip for about a day, and then I'll pull it out, just hit it with a wire brush on the angle grinder, take everything off, and then I'll show you how I treat them. Okay guys, this is my electrolysis bath. I did make this for anvils, yes. I made it so that my pellet jack fits in perfectly underneath there. So I've got those channel irons. So I slide my pellet jack in there, especially for the bigger ones that you can't pick up. I've got a big gantry outside, so we lift this whole thing up with a pellet jack, take it outside, lower the anvil into the dip, and then we pick it up with a pallet jack and bring it back inside, and then we electrolysis bath it. So yeah, sorry my workshop is a mess. I will make another video showing you guys around another time. I'm just trying to keep this video short. It's already sitting at I think 55 minutes, so trying to be as thorough as possible, but also trying to keep it so that I'm not boring you guys. This is just what is this? This is water, and there you go, soda ash. Yeah, so that's what that is. There is a ratio. I will tell you about that in another video. I'll make a video specifically explaining this, but I found that this is the most efficient way to get rust off of stuff. I used to use citric acid, which was 5% citric acid, 95% water. And then obviously you don't use any electricity, you just put it in and it eats all the rust off, but it only lasts about 2 months and then you have to throw the whole solution away. Whereas this over here lasts forever. As you can see, when we did put it in, there was a whole lot of, from all other anvils, a whole lot of rust that, you know, it settles at the bottom. Anyway, so what I do is I pump it out. So after I've done this anvil, I'll let it settle. Then I'll pump all the water back into this drum here. And then basically just clean this out just with a hose pipe, and then I pump the water from here back into here, and then it's clean. Not that you need to, just to keep everything clean, but the anvil's in, it's submerged. I'll take a time lapse of me setting it up, and then I'll explain what's going on. Okay, so as you can see, I use a arc welder, a machine to do my electrolysis. I used to use a battery charger, but because I'm doing it in quite large quantities, I burnt my battery charger out. So I found that works perfectly. I go right down as low as it can, which is about 8 amps. That's what it reads. So yeah, that's what I do, and it works quickly. And the machine can handle it. You'll never burn the machine out. Positive goes onto your electrodes. I use some expanded mesh just for good surface area. And people say that this is sacrificial metal, but I've done probably 5 or 6 dips with these. I can see that they are getting thin, you know, but what I do after every, because what it does is it pulls all the rust and impurities from your workpiece, which is negative, and it pulls it onto your sacrificial steel. And then once I've done that, then I just take that outside while it's wet, and I just give it a wash. I just scrub it with a scrubbing brush, you know, with like any brush, you know, and I just rinse it off with water, and that's it. There you go, done. So these have lasted me a long time. I will replace them, you know, within the next 2 or 3 dips, but yeah, they're not, you don't throw them away, you know, don't throw them away. You can reuse these multiple times. You just need to clean all the rust and stuff, all the oxidization, I guess I can say. Clean all that off of your sacrificial metal, and then you can reuse it. The negative, you can see what I've done is I've just put chains on, and I've made it tight. Just used those 2 blocks as spacers so it's nice and tight. Put my negative down there. A lot of people say this. Okay, so everyone says you can only do electrolysis in a plastic container. Okay, well, that is steel. This whole thing is steel. And then all I did is I had this polyurethane coated, you know, the same stuff that they do in like pickup load bins. I took this whole thing in, and they polyurethane coated the whole thing. So there we go. That's it, done. And it works perfectly. I've got a drain plug down there, which is just the top. You can see where I've welded it in. It looks really bad. I didn't make it look nice for what. But that is the top of a 44-gallon drum, you know. So I just did that. That's my drain. So if I ever do want to drain everything out, you know, I just pop that open, and when I wash it out, I just pop the drain plug open, wash it out with a hose pipe. All the sludge and stuff comes out the bottom. There you go, done. Nice and easy. So that is electrolysis. That is my old measurement, 10 kg citric acid to that much water. But yeah, I don't do that anymore. It's too expensive. Citric acid's expensive. This soda ash is so cheap, and yeah, I mean, I think I used, I'll have to check. I mean, this is about 210 liters. So this is also about 44 gallons, you know. And then I used, I think, I can't remember. I think it worked out to like 32 tablespoons or something like that. Anyways, I'll do another video on exact measurements on this, so that you guys can check it out. Like I said, I don't want to prolong this video any more than it needs to be. But there you go. I'm gonna switch this on, and then I'll take another video of what it looks like. There you go, guys. That's 5 minutes in. I'll let it get started up so that they can have something to see, but you can see it bubbling. So the whole anvil will bubble, as you can see over there. And then on your electrodes or your sacrificial steel, what some people say, is you'll see a whole lot of like foam and stuff like that. I'm gonna see if I can, you can't see very clearly, but I mean the whole anvil is busy bubbling. So yeah, that is it. I will do this for about a day. I'll let it stand for about a day, just so I can be like certain that all the rust is free. Otherwise, you take it out, you put it out too soon, you grind over it with a wire brush on a grinder, and then you see a little bit like blotches where the rust was quite deep and it's still in there, and then you have to just go over it with a sanding disc. It does come out, but I much prefer just be sure, you know, just it costs nothing to leave it in for a little bit extra time. I will not leave this overnight, by the way. So this is a workshop. I don't live here. So I will leave this today, and then I will come back tomorrow morning, switch this back on, and I will then probably clean this midday tomorrow. Yeah, that'll be plenty of time. Okay. So that's what it looks like after a few hours. I think there's about 4 hours. And yeah, as you can see, all of that rust is getting pulled off of that anvil. Yeah, there's a thick coat, and then obviously once you pull the anvil out, all that will eventually settle and the bubbles will pop, and then all the sediment will go down to the bottom of the tank, and then we just drain that out. I think it's done. So I'll pull this out now, and then I'll show you guys. I'm just gonna wire wheel it with an angle grinder, and then it's done. So here you can see my electrodes. You can see that's what sticks to them. So you literally just give that a wash with a brush and water, and then you can reuse them. So just to fill you guys in a little bit over here, what I'm doing, I wire wheel with a grinder, and then I rinse it with a hose pipe, and then I brush, and then I wire wheel, rinse with a hose pipe, brush, just to get any of the, you'll know, if you've ever done electrolysis, you'll see that the black stuff gets stuck right in the pores of the steel, and it's quite difficult to get out. So you wire wheel and then you brush it out with water. It really helps. Okay guys, so this has been standing in the sun for about 10 minutes. So there you go, it's clean. You can't really see now. It has developed a little bit of flash rust, so I'm going to show you now what I do to get rid of that. I use a rust converter. It's a South African rust converter. You'll have to try and find something that works similar, and I put that on it, and then I wipe it off. That seals it, and then I put boiled linseed oil over it, and then there you go, it's sealed. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using. Ice cream tub, really old paintbrush. This is the rust converter I use. It's called Rustmate. I'll show you how that works. So I'll be putting this on first. I'll be applying it first, and then basically rubbing it off almost straight away. And then I'll let it dry for another 10 minutes, half an hour, however long you feel. And then after that, you apply boiled linseed oil, also just with a brush, and then also just wipe any excess off. I just put on with a brush because it gets in nicely to the pores of the anvil. And then I wipe it off with some paper towel, and then I just let it dry in the sun. Okay, so I really hope that you guys can see this. I want to show you how quickly this stuff works. So you can see there's a bit of just flash rust over here. And I really don't use much, not much at all. Apparently it's got some type of acid in it that eats the flash rust away, but I mean, I don't know about that, because all the acids that I've put on metal before, yes, they eat rust away, but as soon as you wipe that acid off, it flash rusts almost instantly again, where this is the opposite. I've done this on one of my anvils before. I just used this, I didn't use any linseed oil, and it lasted a year without rusting. So it almost preserved it in its bare metal finish for a year. So I don't know, it's like magic, but anyway. Just get some paper. Have it. I'm just going to do under the heel now, and then it's all done. And there you have it. That's all done. And we'll repeat this exact same process with boiled linseed oil, and then we'll just let it stand in the sun a little bit to dry it out. Eveson Stourbridge, or Stourbridge, however you pronounce. Weight stamp 121. There you go. Okay, so I thought I'd just quickly tell you guys. I said I'll repeat the same process. I will, but with the boiled linseed oil, I'll wipe it off with a cloth. That's the only difference. I just don't waste the paper towel. It just gets saturated way too quickly. So I'll just time lapse this and I'll show you guys what I do. Just quickly, while I'm busy doing this, I wanted to just mention, if you're wondering why I used boiled linseed oil, the answer is I have no idea. I don't know the reason why they recommend doing this. I asked the question on the Anvil group because, like I said, I did that rust converter on one of my other anvils and it lasted, but after a year it started flash rusting again. So I just wanted to know what other people are doing all over the world in order to stop their anvils rusting, and everyone said boiled linseed oil, boiled linseed oil, boiled linseed oil. And then I had some people saying boiled linseed oil is a scam or something like that. No such thing exists, it's not made anymore. Well, I don't know what you call this then, because it says boiled linseed oil. So I mean, I don't know. Anyway, it might not be the real thing. It might have changed over the years. They might have changed the recipe or for some reason stopped making it. I have no idea, but that's what it says on the bottle that I use. And yeah, I don't ask any questions. It works. The stuff goes on easy. It dries really nice, and it lasts really long. I've never ever had a problem with it where it starts flash rusting again after I put this boiled linseed oil on. So anyway guys, sorry about the rant, not ranting, just yeah, I have no idea about the theory of this. I don't know what makes it so special. I don't know why you can't use just motor oil. I have no idea. Okay, I mean, motor oil never really dries. This stuff actually, it gets sticky after a little bit in the sun, and then it actually dries so that it's dry to the touch. The only thing that I have complaints, well, the only complaint that I have about this specific boiled linseed oil is that it really stinks. And when I go home, my wife tells me that I stink like fish, and my daughter tells me that I stink and I'm not allowed to give her a hug. So that's the only downfall to this stuff. Other than that, it works great. Done, guys. This is the end of the video, I think, but there we go. There you have it. I'm actually going to take a picture of this. There you go. Before and after. Hey dog. There you go. Pretty impressive, I'd say.